Welcome to an episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to the part 3 of my redoing of college realignment videos. This one, I kind of realized I did this one not too long ago, actually. So took me a little longer to kind of rethink about it, to tweak some of it. Not all of them got tweaked. And it came out with like a whole new look of everything. Also, I didn't really worry about too much of the FCS jumping up. So for one, I think you probably know which one, but if you watch the previous 2 videos of this series. And this is going to be my rehash of my ultimate lineup. This is kind of the lineup I kind of look at that I think is the most optimal way moving forward with the college realignment in my eyes. This is not the way things are going. As the time of recording this video, Sacramento State is applying to make the move up into the FBS. There's a board that kind of denied their move. Sacramento State has already pulled out the Big Sky and plan on going independent anyways. It's FCS independence or FBS independence. They're moving there. They're getting a bunch of money dumped into the NIL. So we'll see what happens moving forward with them. As of right now, Sacramento State is kind of in a weird position. They're power moving, and things aren't falling into place. The Pac-12 is still eyeing another member. Sacramento State is not it. And all eyes are fixated on Texas State moving over. Talks of Louisiana Tech, then joining the Sun Belt, which I thought they wouldn't do because of their animosity towards the other 2 Louisiana programs in the Conference USA, Louisiana Monroe and University of Louisiana. There's a lot of many different moving pieces moving around and a lot of things happening in the FCS ranks, the non-football programs. I will be doing another video later on kind of highlighting the movements thus far for college sports. Well, here, let's dive into my very unique, busy mind, many voices competing, and kind of look at it. Like I said, I've redone this a few months ago with my not another realignment video, as I called it. Basically, I had the limit at 16. Which is kind of a rehash of another video I did where what if the, schools, conferences were at 16 or along those lines. So it's kind of a rehash of all that. So it's going to be almost the same thing. So I'm going to kind of skip over a couple conferences right away. The Big Ten, SEC. I'll flash up the graphics for them really quick. Nothing's changed from that last video. More streamlined, like I said. Big Ten, kind of just staying away from the AAU requirements, just grabbing all those programs, kicking everyone east of Ohio out, everyone west of Nebraska out to bring in the Irish, Mizzou, Iowa State, Kansas State. And for the SEC, losing Mizzou, they just go to Oklahoma State. I think Mizzou is a bit of a stretch to be in the SEC. That's just my opinion. I know they probably went more of like maybe South Carolina, North Carolina area first, but that's how it is all set up. So now I kind of glanced over those 2 really quick. Let's go ahead and jump over to ACC. This one's a little bit different from the one I originally had, but BC, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, Duke, NC State, UNC, Wake, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and the U. And then you bring over from the Big Ten, Penn State, Rutgers, and Maryland. It's everyone west of the Appalachians. So that means Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Cal, Stanford are all gone. But then you bring over the 3 over from the Big Ten. Welcome back, Maryland. And kind of make it a nice, easy transition all in all. Next one, we're going to the Pac. Now, this one was one that was a little unique. And this one I had a little hard time kind of streamlining, but I went back to what they had in the Pac-12 before it imploded, which I didn't think it would. I was proven wrong. I've been proven wrong multiple occasions. Look, it's just one old man's opinion against everyone else's, desires. Well, brought back the Pac-12 as is. Also brought over BYU, who I thought should have been in the first place when they added Utah. But, things kind of happen with ideologies and whatnot. And then I bring Boise State over for football only. So Boise State probably go to the Big West for everything else, or back to the Big Sky for everything else. That way, their football hits that plateau, which should have been a while ago. They're one of the major BCS busters that has yet to make it to a power conference. Utah and TCU did, but not Boise State. Then you look what they had the Credible run last year. Yeah, they had to face a good team in the playoffs last year. Things happen. You don't always, find ways to win, but it's still a team you got to put up there. And since they're only there for football, how are you going to counter that? Gonzaga. The Big 12, this was a conference that did not survive that my ultimate redo. And this is going to be like a husk of what it used to be. Because we still have Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Central Florida, and Houston. Welcome in from the SEC, Louisville, and SMU. Bring in South Florida and Memphis as full-time members. Memphis has been on the radar for a lot. I know South Florida is a bit of a stretch, but it's more in line for UCF to kind of get them happy, having their travel partner, having their in-state rival with them. And then I'll also bring in UConn for football only. That way they maintain their Big East. Now we can do a Big East, Big 12 showdown. And to counter UConn, you bring over Wichita State from the American. Comes with the group. There's a lot of changes in the group, as you would normally get in these type of scenarios. So let's go ahead. I'll just go from east to west. So the American, you'll see a few changes here. You'll have Temple, East Carolina, Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, UAB, Tulane, Rice, UTSA, North Texas, and Tulsa. But then to bring over Delaware, Louisiana Tech from Conference USA. They also bring over Florida International, kind of double up Florida once again. Also bring in the rival for FAU. And then from the Sun Belt, bring up Georgia State and James Madison. So there's a long history between James Madison and Delaware Temple. So there's a lot of history, animosity throughout this conference. The MAC, we go back to the way the MAC was situated beforehand. What they are now, the 12 members, we had UMass. Bring back Northern Illinois. It makes no sense for them to leave at all. Then bring in the Southern expansion with Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. Also add Missouri State into the mix. Yeah, I know those last one's a bit of a stretch, but it kind of increases the MAC footprint. Now you go from New England down to the Missouri Valley. The Mountain West, you don't see much change in this aspect. You have all the current Mountain West teams, a lot of the former Mountain West teams. Mountain West before the whole breakup and going, the only one they lose is Boise State. Bring in New Mexico State. No Northern Illinois and no Boise State, but bringing New Mexico State. Basketball-wise, you still have UC Davis and Grand Canyon. I would also put in Sacramento State into this mix. The Sun Belt took out James Madison. It took out Georgia State. Well, they easily replaced them with Liberty and Kennesaw State. So they kept roughly in the same area. Then you bring in Jacksonville State and Sam Houston, round off to 16, and there is your new Sun Belt. That's the setup. I mean, like I said, Army, Navy in this scenario, even though there's no graphic to show them, we're independent. There's have tie-ins with the American, so to play like 5 games like Notre Dame does with ACC. That way it keeps Army, Navy game as their own entity once still. I mean, somehow they're able to finagle it. But now you can have the possibility of Army-Navy going back-to-back games. This eliminates that altogether. Also avoided adding anyone else. Like I said, Sacramento State's the only one I know has submitted paperwork to make the jump up. It looks like they might get denied. Tarleton has been another school being rumored being called up to Conference USA if Conference USA loses a member. But now we're going to deal with the rivals. Now, a lot of these are pretty simple. 16 teams, groups of 4. You play your 3 games, and you have 3 games against one of each other groupings, regions, pods, divisions, however you want to label it. In doing so, you guaranteed 6 games already locked up. Then you rotate the other remaining 3 between the 3 other remaining regions, give you a 9-game conference schedule. So you have 6 games that are always set in stone. Those are your rivalry games, most of them. And then some of the other rivalries you may have, we'll probably need to get them rotating. So we'll throw up the ACC here first and make sure I kept the Big Ten that came over together and just threw in Virginia because Virginia and Maryland has a history. They have a rivalry game that got decimated. All the old Big East teams, the Northern Big East teams, I kept them together. And this is basically the setup I went with. A lot of these, you still keep the Techno Bowl. You have all the North Carolina programs playing each other. You still keep the Textile Bowl. Virginia, Florida State rivalry still a thing. Commonwealth Cup between Virginia and Virginia Tech. Clemson, Boston College. Not much of a rivalry game, but it is one. Like I said, these are not perfect. These are at least digestible, easy to schedule. Like I said, 6 games are locked, 3 games are rotated out. The Big Ten, got Michigan State, Notre Dame in the same grouping. So that way Michigan still have Ohio State and Minnesota every year. The Irish will still get Purdue. Nebraska used to be a yearly clash until they dropped Nebraska for USC. Yeah, I kept Illinois and Northwestern separate regions, but they still have their end-of-year matchups. They still have the rivalries with Indiana, Purdue, and Ohio State. They'll still get Mizzou every year as well. You see, I kept Mizzou, Iowa State, Kansas State all together, so that way you still have all those rivalries. Nebraska has quite a few, but their longest one running rivalry that just got nixed was Nebraska-Kansas. Even though it doesn't really, ruffle the feathers or scream, this is a big-time showdown. Then we do the SEC. Very simple. Yes, I keep Alabama and Auburn separate, but they still have the rivalry at the end of the year locked no matter what. But for the most part, you'll see, Florida, Georgia, and Auburn also guaranteed. The Egg Bowl, Magnolia Bowl, Bedlam, Red River. I mean, there's a lot of games here that really showcase all that. Now, Arkansas not being the same group as the Texas and Oklahomas, yes, I get it's a bit of a stretch. Or you can put them with LSU and the Mississippis. I get it. But Alabama had too much history with Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and LSU to break them away, put them with Tennessee, Kentucky. Mac here. This one, I tried to look at it, and most of the pairings you see and the groupings that's where most of the rivalries are. So for like Ball State, Miami, Ohio, they have their rivalry kept, 100 yards of hate, or 100 miles of hate, between Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee in the same region. So it makes things a little easier there. For the Sun Belt, most of them are all kind of set up the way they are. This is kind of a conference that's had new members kind of join in, so it's kind of trying to find a balance. But I know Louisiana Monroe, Texas State, Sam Houston have a history dating back for a while, back to the old Gulf Star. So keeping them in the same region, nothing made sense. Now they left Arkansas State to join Southern Miss, and the other two Southern, Troy and South Alabama. Keep Kansas State, Jacksonville State together with Coastal and Georgia Southern. And you see all these are all kind of set up, so they all kind of fit the bill. You keep Marshall, Appalachian State together. Appalachian State, Georgia Southern still have their annual matchups. So all in all, I think this is a very simple way of going about that with these particular programs. Now, the pack, I still have a 9-game schedule. They still have a core teams they play against. They have 5 locked opponents. That means they're able to rotate the other 8 in groups of 4. So it ensures that all the California programs play each other, which is something they don't get to do anymore. Same thing with the Northwest teams. They play each other. And for the Big 12, they're the only one that 8-game schedule with a 5-3-3. So they have 5 games. The other 6 members are broken up into 3 games sets. And kind of allow the rivalries to continue. There's a lot of old Southwest school vibes in here. Make things kind of simple. For the Mountain West, this one I have 2 different setups because Sacramento State is kind of the go-between right now. Right now, you do what is called a 4-4-4. Almost what that Big West or Big 12 has, where you have 4 locked opponents and then you rotate the other 8 in 4 groups, so you'll have an 8-game schedule. And a lot of these rivalry games are rivalry games. Trophies involved. A lot of them are not, like New Mexico State, Utah State. I just put the Aggie Bowl together. That made sense, a little funny. Adding Sacramento State, change the dynamics a little bit, puts them at a 5-4-4 model. Now for the American being at 15, this one was a little bit different. It's a 2-6-6. Well, it makes things a little easier. I mean, that's an 8-game schedule. It gives them a little extra breathing room outside of that, which also helps with the Army-Navy situation as well. So that's just kind of the rivalries, kind of help with facilitate the aspects of trying to schedule games, make it a little bit easier. You have a 12-game schedule. Like I said, this is just a weird concept. I get it. Probably a little far-fetched with some of the transitions. Possibility, none, zilch, nada, not happening. I don't see Mizzou leaving SEC. I don't see the Big Ten adding Iowa State, Kansas State without being AAU members. I don't see the Pac coming back together. I don't see teams leaving the Sun Belt. Sun Belt looks like a pretty stable conference. I see teams going in there, like Sam Houston might be a good addition. But who else do you add? Like I said, I didn't add Tarleton to this mix. This is at the time frame I created the whole graphics and all that. And the concept behind this video, they weren't getting more traction moving forward or more talks moving forward and possibly being added. But as you know, once one domino goes, the whole thing starts to go, and you start seeing this huge change in the landscape. And it's been happening for the past couple seasons now. It's one of the mainstays of this channel is the conference realignment. And it's probably the last time I'll actually kind of do one of these type of videos unless there's more teams being added. If like Sacramento State, Tarleton, North Dakota State all move up, maybe I'll do one then, kind of relook at the whole landscape and kind of go from there. But all in all, this is just one of the weird concepts that I have. I kind of go through these scenarios in my head a little too often for some reason. I know, I'm old and crazy. I get it. Like I said, this is just my opinion. It's not perfect by any means. I get that. Why would SEC bring in another Oklahoma team? It's kind of give or take. A lot of times also deals with money. It's like I don't see Penn State, Rutgers, and Maryland leave the Big Ten to go to the ACC. There's no money. So you kind of put some of that thoughts and limitations out of your mind and kind of set it to the side, throw it out. doesn't exist. And kind of look at it, dream scenarios. How would you really do this? I mean, geographically, we could go about this as well and kind of streamline it even more. What these conferences are more of a geographic centered, really focusing on the traditional rivals that I grew up with, that I think are a mainstay of college football. The landscape of college athletics continues to change, evolve, sometimes devolve, and this is just the modern aspect of college athletics and college football. Would this actually work? I think it could. Will it happen? Absolutely not. It would not happen. But let me know what you think. Remember, this is just all opinionated. Some of you guys may like where it goes. Some of you may not like where it goes. The Big 12 is a huge mess. I get it. I couldn't bring myself to put Texas Tech, TCU, and Baylor back in the pack. That made no sense. Got to try and keep it a little more realistic to a point. The Big 12 makes no sense. The American, of course, a big, huge conference itself. Sun Belt's another huge conference. Anyways, getting sidetracked. Let's mix it up with the comments below. Be kind to each other. Like I said, this is all opinionated. No one's opinion is wrong. Some people are more passionate about how certain setups should be. I get it. I don't try to push back too hard on too many. I have in the past. I do apologize for that. Try to turn over new leaf in my old age. Sometimes an old dog can learn a new trick. Well, let's mix it up. Be kind. The more we mix up in the chat, the better to boost the algorithm, get out to the masses. The more people can view this, listen to my quick ramblings, incoherent ramblings, and just ramblings in general in my smooth monotone voice. But you like what I do, you want to support this channel, go ahead, hit that thumbs up. It means the world to me. Another thing you can do is to subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. There's no tariffs involved. It costs you zero. You just hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon, and turn on notification. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.